So you can know that a young preacher, a new preacher, is in trouble if they're thinking, I've just got to work on a sermon, so I'm going to go to the Bible. It works the other way around. When we're in the Bible, we have more and more verses that we just say, I want to preach this someday. I want to preach this someday. And I learned long ago, I'm not going to live long enough on this earth to preach everything I want to preach in the Bible. There's just so many good things there. So every day, I know I need communion with Jesus through Bible study and prayer before I do anything else. And it's in that time that I find the best sermon ideas. And when I'm going through, I'll underline or I'll circle, I'll write little notes in the margin, and I'll have a little file that I used to do it on paper. Now I just do it digitally, and it'll be on different passages of the Bible or on different topics, so I can access it easily. And when I get to a time when I'm going to preach those things, but being immersed in the Word and then beginning to see, but don't try to preach if you're not in the Word, and don't try to preach if you know the Bible but you don't have a relationship with a person who wrote the Bible. We got to That was one thing I had to have in a reconversion experience in my college years. Was I My life was a mess. I went to talk to a pastor and told him about the mess, and he said, there's a statement in the Desire of Ages that says our lives may seem a tangle, but as we commit them to the Master, he will weave a beautiful pattern in them. And I thought, well, I don't forget the beautiful pattern. I just want a few less tangles. And I said, but how? And he said, time alone at the beginning of every day in Bible study and prayer. And I said, I know the Bible. I've studied it. I've memorized a lot of verses. I know it. And he said, do you know the person who wrote the Bible personally? And wow, the switch flipped, the lights came on, and it exposed me for who I was. I was a head knowledge Bible person, and I didn't have that living relationship and connection with Jesus. So we've got to have be in the Word and prayer, not for the sake of writing sermons and writing things to preach, but for the sake of knowing the one who gave it and having him put a fire in our soul. So we got to turn around and preach it and teach it. And I encourage everybody, whether they are seeing themselves as a preacher or not, from that Word of God, find one verse or one phrase that really speaks to you each day, and ask God for a chance to share that one verse with somebody else that day.